Hello, YouTube. This is a video response to PottersHouseOz and his Why People Laugh at Creationists Biblical Science. And this is going to be part one because it takes a little bit longer to refute BS than it does to spread it. Once again, the ignorance of the theistic world is boiled down into a 5-minute blob with points illustrated by biblical passages. I'll try to address them one by one. This will take a little longer than your normal 5 minutes. Than your 5 minutes. Once again, after being debunked multiple times, Isaiah 40:22 is trotted out by an ignorant person to say that the Bible writers knew 4,000 or so years ago that the earth was spherical. Quote, Isaiah 40:22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. The word is interpreted as circle in the King James Version, and all the ones the quotes that I'm giving you here are from the KJV. It's quoted as circle in the King James Version, and almost every other translation you can find on Bible Gateway. A circle is like a coin. It has a round perimeter, but a flat surface when you turn it on end. Otherwise, other verses about pillars and corners belie both the sphere and even the round arguments. This is pure nonsense. We've been there before. Now, let me move this a second here so I can get this up. I'm trying to read my response. There's an awful lot here, and I didn't want to ramble on for an hour when I could do this in less than 20 minutes. Jeremiah 33:22. As the host of heaven cannot be numbered, neither can the sand of the sea measured, so will I multiply the seed of David my servant, and the Levites that minister unto me. Now this is supposed to show that the number of stars were known to be incalculable. This is ridiculous for two reasons. One, this is supposed to be God speaking. For the omniscient to say that the host, you interpret that here as stars, while elsewhere it refers more obviously to angels, cannot be counted, is simply absurd. If even God can't count the stars, then he is not omniscient. If, on the other hand, this is just a metaphor, as the second part of the verse seems to suggest, he's just saying that there are a lot of stars. Certainly he is not saying that the descendants of David will literally be as numerous as the stars in heaven or grains of sand. You point out that there were fewer visible stars at the time the Bible was written, but they would have been uncountable to the vast majority of people of the time. There are still tribal people today whose whole concept of mathematics is 1, 2, and many. That's as far as they ever got. Hebrews 11:3. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. Now here, for some reason, you invalidate your own argument by acknowledging Democritus, who theorized exactly the same thing centuries before the New Testament authors were born. That there were unseen elements in the natural world was well established by the time of Paul's writing. So, what's your point? 1 Corinthians 15:41. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars, for one star differeth from another star in glory. Now this you use to say that the Bible knew all the stars were different. Well, yes, in glory. From the earth, the naked eye can perceive that some stars are larger or brighter than others. They differ in glory. What science has discovered is how they differ, not only in size, but in composition. This verse from Paul in no way shows that he had the knowledge of the heavens beyond his own time. Job 38:19. Where is the way where light dwelleth, and as for darkness, where is the place thereof? This you use to say that the Old Testament writer knew that light moved. These same writers thought the sun moved across the sky and hid itself away during the night. If you want to impress us with Old Testament scientific knowledge, find me a place where even in the New Testament a writer knew how fast light travels. Job 28:25, to make the weight for the winds, and he weigheth the waters by measure. Now this, you say, proves that the Old Testament people knew that air had weight. But this verse is not speaking of still air. It is speaking of winds, the weight of which anyone can feel on his shoulders when it blows strongly. This verse does not demonstrate a knowledge of the composition of air. It isn't even clear by this that they knew that air and wind were the same thing. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 6, the wind goeth toward the south, and turneth about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits. Now this you use to demonstrate that the Old Testament says wind travels in circuits. Did you not notice it also says his circuits? The four winds were thought to be entities that moved about. This demonstrates nothing but about foreknowledge of the scientific discoveries. The previous verse, that's verse 5, the sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down and hasteth to his place where he arose. The same writer says the sun rises and sets, which we know is merely an illusion, and suggests that the sun goes to his place, again the personification of something the ancients did not understand. Leviticus 17:11, for the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls, for it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul. Now you hold this up as proof of the knowledge the Hebrews couldn't have had? Surely they had observed the death of people and animals associated with loss of blood. As to the bleeding as a method of treatment of illness, as if this proves the ancients didn't know about blood versus life, of course they knew. Bloodletting was begun by Hippocrates in the 4th century BCE. The Greeks knew about life's blood, just as much more ancient people did, but they theorized that blood could contain bad humors, which caused illness. Relieving the body of some of these bad elements was thought to aid in getting well. Not very good science, since it was observed dogmatically until the 19th century CE. This verse doesn't bolster your argument at all. 2 Samuel 22:16, and the channels of the sea appeared, the foundations of the world were discovered at the rebuking of the Lord, at the blast of the breath of his nostrils. And Jonah 2, verse 6, I went down to the bottoms of the mountains. The earth with her bars was about me forever. Yet hast thou brought up my life from corruption, O Lord my God. Now this is some pretty heavy interpretation on your part. Channels, you say, are mountains and valleys? Jonah is a little closer, but many mountains arise from the shore, and one could wade in water at the bottom of mountains. If you ever waded into an ocean, there are places where you could be in shallow water and step into a trench of deep water. Anyone with experience of the sea could speak of channels or even mountains. This is not divine knowledge. Job 38:16. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea, or hast thou walked in the search of the depth? Now, ancient people living near the sea could have been aware of undersea springs. They are sometimes near land, and they are hot water flowing from volcanic tubes. No one knows certainly who wrote the book of Job. Some of the people of the time had experience of such things as a volcanic vent. Leviticus 15:13. And when he that hath an issue is cleansed of his issue, then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in running water, and shall be clean. Now even you, obviously, are not versed in science beyond the average. Recognize that if you dip dirty hands or body into still water, the dirt collects in the water to redeposit itself on your body, while running water carries it away. This also is not divine knowledge that couldn't have been perceived by the ancients. Well, I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to wrap this up and take up the rest of my objections in part 2.